So we're reaching the month of May, and summer is upon us. May is the last warm season month in Zone 9, and we're going to be encroaching on some really warm temperatures and potentially some drier times. We're usually going to see summertime drought, and both of these things bring on an immense amount of stress for a lot of plants. And this will especially be true when we're dealing with potted plants. So we're seeing lots of people come in and they're starting to see aphids on hibiscus, which are primarily done in containers as a tropical so that they can be brought in to protect against the cold temperatures. So we're often faced with a dual-fold problem. We have a plant that needs stress relief, most likely needs to be fed a little bit more, and most of the time we don't notice these aphid or sap-sucking pest problems like whiteflies, mealybugs, until we've reached a pretty large population of them. And with that population, we're often left with no choice but to try to do something about it. So one of the things that we can do first and foremost is to feed the plant. Feed it more often, especially if it's in a container. As we get hotter, we're going to dry out faster, so we're going to be watering more, and we're going to be leaching nutrients out of the containers much faster. So when you have a pot, you're watering, nutrients are flowing down and out of the bottom constantly, and they're not being replenished. Whereas if you're in the soil, you have more accessible nutrients. Whenever you have microbes, they can help reach out and get nutrients, and the plants tend to be healthier and be a little bit more resilient. So as that heat stress comes on, we tend to see these tropical plants lots of new growth. You can see we've got a lot of buds happening here. We've got a lot of really young tender growth, and we've got flowers. So this is also taking lots of nutrients along with us washing the nutrients out. So the place to look for early signs of pests are going to be on the bottom side of leaves, on or around blooms. They're usually going to be at the tender growth. This is where the majority of nutrients are being pushed for these particular parts of plant growth. Now, as part of a pest management system, ideally we want to use spraying or using a pesticide, organic or not, as a last resort. So our first option again is to feed the soil, provide more nutrients, which helps the plant be healthier and support all of these things that are happening here: new growth, new blooms, buds. And if we're working on our soil, getting nutrition right, helping alleviate some of the summertime stress, then we can simply use our hose. And where we have tender growth here, or we start seeing pest pressure, which here we don't have any signs of pest yet, but we can simply take our hose and we can try to wash these off. We can try to disrupt the cycle of the insect. If we do this several times and we're still not seeing any kind of result, that's where we can fall into potentially needing to use a pest control option. So let's talk a little bit about neem oil today, thing that is organic or natural. And that's important for us. We try to alleviate any chemical usage where we can. Everything's a chemical, but these are going to be our last resort options for our sap-sucking pests that we can experience on a wide array of plants. We're always going to start with the soil first, feeding, getting the nutrition right, and then if the problem is out of hand, we've got to do something about it. And this is going to be one of our go-tos. But again, not all these are created equal. Not all these are created equally. We have 3 different products in front of us, and they're not the same. So let's take a quick dive into what makes these different and how to choose the one that's going to work best for you. So first is ideally our go-to, and that's going to be Neem Max from Bonide. Any type of neem oil, but specifically here, this is cold pressed neem oil. So cold pressed neem oil is extracted from the seed, and it brings out the most azadectin, which is the actual ingredient that does the killing from neem. So this is the most effective for getting the widest array of things, and it makes it a 4-in-1 where it has insecticidal, fungicidal, miticide, and nemicide properties. So this is probably one of the better options for effectiveness and actually getting good control. Now we can jump over here to our standard neem oil. Standard 70% hydrophobic extract of neem oil. This is the most common. It's a processed neem oil. This works mostly by smothering these soft-bodied insects like whiteflies, aphids, mealybugs. So we've got to get this on the actual insect, and it's got to smother them to do its job. We can also use that same 70% neem oil, and we can utilize it in a triple action spray. So most of your triple actions have additives in them. So those additives often are something like pyrethrin. Pyrethrin being organic extraction from chrysanthemums or mum. So pyrethrin gives you a very quick knockdown of small insects. It doesn't leave a long-lasting residual, but it allows this to work a little bit more effectively than just your regular 70% neem oil. All of your neem oils are typically labeled for organic gardening, a lot of them carrying the OMRI certification here, as you see right here. If you're going to use an option like this, you're going to want to spray on 7 to 10 day intervals until you kind of get the problem under control. Most issues can be taken care of in 2 to 3 sprays, but the key thing to remember is if you don't take care of the root cause of these sap-sucking pests, which is typically stress and nutrition, then the problem is going to come back. And then you're going to repeat this process over and over again. So always figure out the why to the best of your ability and work on correcting that. And then use the control method only as a last resort. So I hope you found this useful and maybe gives you some clarification on what to look for in neem oil when you go to the store or your local nursery and pick something up. And help you keep your plants looking healthy and happy in the upcoming summer. We'll catch you next time.